The hospital room was cold and quiet except for the sound of machines beeping. Min-jun stood at the door, his hand shaking as he held the papers. His father, Mr. Park, lay on the white hospital bed, tubes coming out of his arms. His mother sat in a chair next to the bed, her face red from crying. "Sign it," his father whispered, his voice weak but still angry. "Sign the papers, or you are no longer my son." Min-jun looked down at the divorce papers in his hands. His heart felt like it was being ripped apart. On one side was his family, the people who raised him, fed him, and taught him everything. On the other side was Anita, his wife, the woman he loved more than anything in the world. "Father, please," Min-jun started to say. "No." His father tried to sit up but fell back down, coughing. "You brought shame to our family. You married that black woman against our wishes. Now our company is dying, and it's all because of the bad luck you brought." His mother covered her face and cried harder. Min-jun felt tears rolling down his face. "Anita has nothing to do with the company's problems, father. The business started failing before I even met her." "Get out," his father screamed, then started coughing again, blood appearing on his lips. The nurse rushed in. "Sir, you need to leave. You're making the patient worse." Min-jun walked out of the room, the divorce papers still in his hands. He crumpled them up and threw them in the trash can. He would never sign them. Never. But wait, where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. Let me take you back to where this all started, 3 years ago, when Min-jun's life was completely different. Min-jun was 28 years old and worked at his father's company, Park Industries, one of the biggest kimchi and Korean food companies in Seoul. He was the only son, which meant one day he would own everything. His parents had his whole life planned out. They even picked a wife for him, Ji-woo, the daughter of another rich Korean family. "You will marry Ji-woo next spring," his mother told him one evening at dinner. "Her family is perfect. She went to Seoul University. She plays piano. She will give us beautiful grandchildren." Min-jun said nothing. He just nodded and ate his rice. This was how things worked in his family. You didn't argue. You didn't choose your own path. You followed the plan. But Min-jun wasn't happy. Every day felt the same. Wake up. Go to work. Smile at Ji-woo during their weekly dinners that their parents set up. Go home. Sleep. Repeat. He felt like a robot. Then came that Tuesday in September that changed everything. Min-jun's company was trying to sell their products in America. His father sent him to New York City for 3 months to meet with American stores and restaurants. "Make good deals," his father told him at the airport. "Make me proud. And stay away from American girls. They are not like us." Min-jun arrived in New York on a rainy afternoon. The city was huge, loud, and full of people who all looked different. In Seoul, almost everyone was Korean. But here, he saw people with skin colors from white to brown to black, wearing all kinds of clothes, speaking different languages. It was scary, but it was also exciting. His company rented him a small apartment in Manhattan. Every day, he went to meetings with store owners and restaurant managers. He wore his best suits. He smiled a lot. He bowed like his father taught him. But business was hard. Most people said no. They didn't want Korean kimchi. They said Americans don't like spicy, fermented cabbage. Min-jun felt like he was failing. One Friday night, after another day of people saying no to him, Min-jun sat alone in a small Korean restaurant in Koreatown. He ordered soju and kimchi jjigae, trying to feel less lonely by eating food from home. That's when he heard her laugh. It was the most beautiful sound he ever heard, like music, bright and full of joy. He looked up and saw her sitting 2 tables away. She was a black woman with dark skin that seemed to glow in the restaurant's warm lights. She had long braids pulled back in a ponytail. She wore a simple blue dress and was eating bibimbap with chopsticks like she had been doing it her whole life. She was laughing with an old Korean woman, the restaurant owner, in perfect Korean. Min-jun stared. He couldn't help it. She suddenly looked at him and caught him staring. Instead of looking away like most Korean girls would do, she smiled at him. Not a small, polite smile. A big, real smile that made her whole face light up. Min-jun's heart jumped in his chest. He quickly looked down at his food, his face getting hot. "That boy thinks you're pretty," he heard the old restaurant owner say to her in Korean, loudly enough for him to hear. "Grandmother," the woman laughed, also in Korean. "Stop embarrassing the poor man." Min-jun couldn't believe it. She spoke Korean, and she spoke it really well. Before he knew what he was doing, Min-jun stood up and walked to her table. His legs felt shaky. "Excuse me," he said in English, because he didn't know what else to do. Your Korean is very good. She smiled again. Thank you. I studied it in college. And grandmother here has been teaching me more. She pointed to the old restaurant owner. Please sit down if you want. Min-jun sat down, his heart beating fast. I'm Anita, she said, holding out her hand. Anita Williams. I'm Park Min-jun, he said, shaking her hand. Her hand was soft and warm. But in America, I think I should say Min-jun Park? She laughed. Either way is fine. So, Park Min-jun, what brings you to New York? You look like you had a rough day. And just like that, they started talking. Min-jun told her about his company, about trying to sell Korean food in America, about all the people saying no to him. Anita listened to everything, her eyes focused on his face like what he was saying was the most important thing in the world. You know what your problem is? Anita said after he finished. You're trying to sell kimchi to people who have never tried it. That's like trying to sell snow to someone who has never seen winter. They don't know why they should want it. So what should I do? Min-jun asked. You need to let them taste it first. Give out free samples. Let them experience it. Once they taste how good it is, they'll want to buy it. Anita's eyes were shining with excitement. I work in marketing. I help small businesses sell their products. This is what I do. They talked for 3 more hours. The restaurant owner, who Anita called grandmother, kept bringing them more food and tea, smiling at them like she knew something they didn't. Min-jun learned that Anita was 26 years old. She grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. She studied business and Korean language in college because she loved K-dramas and K-pop. She moved to New York 2 years ago to work at a marketing company. She loved spicy food, which is why she loved Korean food so much. She had a younger brother and a sister. Her father was a pastor, and her mother was a teacher. What about you? Anita asked. Tell me about your family. Min-jun's smile faded a little. My family is traditional. Very traditional. My father owns the company. My mother takes care of the house. I'm the only son, so I have to follow their plans. What plans? Anita asked. Min-jun hesitated. Should he tell her about Jiwoo? About arranged marriage? Never mind, Anita said quickly, seeing his uncomfortable face. You don't have to tell me. We just met. But Min-jun wanted to tell her. For some reason, he wanted to tell her everything. They want me to marry someone, he said quietly. A girl they chose. I don't love her. But in my family, we don't marry for love. We marry for family benefit. Anita was quiet for a moment. Then she said, That must be really hard. Living a life that someone else planned for you. Yes, Min-jun whispered. It was the first time anyone had said that to him. The first time anyone understood. When the restaurant closed at midnight, they walked outside together. The rain had stopped, and the city lights reflected on the wet streets. Can I see you again? Min-jun asked, his heart pounding. He had never asked a girl this before. In Korea, his parents arranged all his dates. Anita smiled. I'd like that. They exchanged phone numbers. As Min-jun walked back to his apartment that night, he felt different. Lighter, like he could breathe deeper than before. He didn't know it then, but that night was the beginning of everything. The love, the joy, the pain, and the terrible choice he would have to make. The next few weeks were like a dream. Anita helped Min-jun with his business. She designed free sample programs. She helped him talk to store owners in a way that made them interested. She taught him about American culture and what Americans liked. Don't just sell kimchi, she told him. Sell the story. Tell them it's healthy, full of good bacteria for their stomach. Tell them it's a 1,000-year-old recipe. Americans love that stuff. It worked. Slowly, stores started saying yes. Small restaurants wanted to try his products. But more than the business, Min-jun and Anita spent every free moment together. They went to museums. They walked in Central Park. They ate food from all over the world: Mexican, Italian, Ethiopian, Thai. With Anita, Min-jun laughed more than he ever had in his life. She made jokes. She wasn't afraid to look silly. She danced in the street when she heard music she liked. She was so different from the quiet, proper Korean girls he knew. One night, they sat on a bench overlooking the city. Min-jun, Anita said softly. I need to tell you something. His heart jumped. Was she going to say she had a boyfriend? That she couldn't see him anymore? I'm falling for you, she said, looking into his eyes. And I know this is complicated because of your family and the girl they want you to marry. So if you need to go back to Korea and forget about me, I understand. But I need you to know how I feel. Min-jun felt like his chest was breaking open. Anita, I think I've been falling for you since the first night I saw you laugh." He kissed her, right there on the bench, with the city lights around them and the stars hidden behind the buildings. It was his first real kiss. His first choice was completely his own. But the dream couldn't last forever. The 3 months ended. Min-jun had to go back to Korea. His father was calling him every day, asking about the business deals, telling him to come home. "Come with me," Min-jun told Anita 1 week before he had to leave. "Come to Korea. We can be together there." Anita looked scared. "Min-jun, I can't just leave my job, my life. And what about your family? You said they're traditional. What will they think of you bringing home a black woman?" "I don't care what they think," Min-jun said, but even as he said it, he felt fear in his stomach. His father's angry face flashed in his mind. "Yes, you do," Anita said gently. "And that's okay. They're your family." They spent that last week together, holding each other, trying not to think about the future. On the day Min-jun had to leave, they stood at the airport, both crying. "I'll call you every day," Min-jun promised. "And I'll come back. Or you'll come to Korea. We'll figure it out. Promise?" Anita whispered. "I promise." Back in Korea, everything felt wrong. The air felt heavier. The colors seemed duller. Min-jun went through his days like a ghost. His father was happy with the business deals he made. "Good job, son," he said, patting his shoulder. "You made several deals. Now, let's plan your wedding to Jiwoo. We're thinking about next spring." Min-jun's mother showed him pictures of wedding venues. "Look how beautiful." And Jiwoo's mother, "And I already picked out your wedding clothes." Min-jun said nothing. He just nodded and looked at the pictures, but inside, his heart was screaming. Every night, he called Anita. They talked for hours, even though it was expensive and the time difference was hard. Sometimes they just stayed on the phone in silence, just to feel like they were together. "I miss you," Anita would say. "I miss you more," Min-jun would answer. 3 months passed like this. Then 6 months. Min-jun was dying inside. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He looked at Jiwoo during their family dinners and felt nothing. She was pretty. She was polite. But she wasn't Anita. "What's wrong with you?" his father asked one day. "You look sick." "Are you sick?" "I'm fine, father," Min-jun lied. But he wasn't fine. He was falling apart. Then one night, something inside Min-jun broke. He was sitting at dinner with his parents and Jiwoo's family, listening to them talk about the wedding date, and he suddenly stood up. "I can't do this," he said. Everyone stopped talking and looked at him. "What?" his father said. "I can't marry Jiwoo." "I'm sorry." Min-jun looked at Jiwoo. "You're a good person. You deserve someone who loves you. But that person isn't me." "Sit down," his father roared. "No." Min-jun felt tears on his face, but also felt strong for the first time in his life. "I'm in love with someone else. I'm going to marry her." His mother gasped. "Who? Who is this girl?" Min-jun took a deep breath. "Her name is Anita. She's American. And she's black." The room went completely silent. Then his father's face turned purple with rage. "You what?" "I love her, father. I'm sorry, but I love her." What happened next was the worst night of Min-jun's life. His father screamed. His mother cried. Jiwoo's family left, insulted and angry. His father said things that made Min-jun's heart hurt. Terrible things about Anita, about black people, about shame and dishonor. "If you marry her," his father said, his voice shaking with rage, "you are no longer my son. You will get nothing from this family. Nothing. Do you understand?" "I understand," Min-jun said quietly. "Get out," his father screamed. "Get out of my house." Min-jun left that night with just a suitcase. His mother stood at the door, crying, reaching for him, but his father pulled her back inside. As Min-jun walked away from his family home, he felt scared and sad. But he also felt free. He bought a plane ticket to New York that same night. When Anita opened her apartment door and saw Min-jun standing there with his suitcase, she started crying. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised, didn't I?" Min-jun smiled through his own tears. They held each other for a long time. "My family disowned me," Min-jun told her later that night. "I have no money from them. No company job. Nothing. I only have some money I saved myself. Are you sure you want to be with someone like me?" Anita took his face in her hands. "Min-jun Park, I don't care if you have money or not. I love you. Just you." 6 months later, they got married in a small ceremony with just Anita's family and a few friends. Anita's parents welcomed Min-jun with open arms. "You're our son now," Anita's father told him, hugging him tight. Min-jun cried. He never thought he would have a family again. But life wasn't easy. Min-jun couldn't find a good job at first because his visa was complicated. Anita's salary wasn't enough for both of them. They lived in a tiny apartment. They ate cheap food. Sometimes they argued about money, about the future, about whether they made the right choice. 1 year has passed. Then 2 years. Min-jun started his own small Korean food import business with the little money he had saved. It was hard work. He worked 16 hours a day. Anita helped him when she could, using her marketing skills. Slowly, very slowly, things got better. His business started making money. Not a lot, but enough. They moved to a bigger apartment. They were happy. But Min-jun never stopped missing his family. Sometimes late at night, Anita would wake up and find him crying quietly. "It's okay," she would say, holding him. "It's okay to miss them. I just wish they could see that you're wonderful," Min-jun would say. "I wish they could know you like I know you." "Maybe one day," Anita would say, but neither of them really believed it. Then, 3 years after Min-jun left Korea, he got a call that changed everything. It was his mother's sister, his aunt. "Min-jun," she said, crying on the phone. "It's your father. He's in the hospital. He had a heart attack. The company is failing. Everything is falling apart. Your mother is sick with worry. Please, please come home." Min-jun felt like he couldn't breathe. Is he going to die? We don't know. The doctors say the next few weeks are critical. But Min-jun, even if he lives, the company won't. They're going to declare bankruptcy next month. Your father might survive, but losing the company will kill him anyway. It's all he has. Min-jun closed his eyes. His father's company, the company his grandfather built, the company his father spent his whole life working on, was dying. "I'll come," Min-jun said. "I'll come home." When he told Anita, she said, "I'm coming with you." "Anita, no. They'll be even more angry if you come." "I'm your wife," Anita said firmly. "Where you go, I go. We're a team, remember?" So they flew to Korea together. When they arrived at the hospital and Min-jun walked into his father's room, it was the scene from the beginning of this story. His father in the bed, his mother crying, the demand to sign divorce papers, the screaming, the nurse making him leave. Min-jun walked out of the hospital with Anita, his heart broken into pieces. "He hates me even more now," Min-jun said, his voice empty. "Even dying, he hates me for choosing you." Anita held his hand tight. She didn't say anything. What could she say? They went to Min-jun's parents' house, but his mother wouldn't let them in. They had to stay at a hotel. That night, Anita couldn't sleep. She got up and went to the hotel business center. She opened her laptop and started researching. She looked up Park Industries. She looked at their financial reports, their debts, their problems. She read news articles about the company. She made notes. She made plans. At 3 a.m., she finally came back to the room. Min-jun was awake, staring at the ceiling. "I think I can help," Anita said. Min-jun sat up. "What?" "Your father's company. I think I know what's wrong, and I think I know how to fix it." Anita's eyes were bright despite how tired she looked. "But I'll need to see the company's actual records. I'll need to meet with the management. And your father will need to let me help him." Min-jun laughed, but it was a sad, bitter laugh. "Anita, he won't even look at you. He wants me to divorce you. How will he ever let you help save his company?" Anita sat down next to him and took his hand. "I don't know, but I have to try. Because I love you, and I know you love them, and I can't watch you lose everyone you love." "You're amazing," Min-jun whispered. "How did I get so lucky?" "We're both lucky," Anita said, kissing his forehead. "Now we just need to convince your father that the black woman he hates is the only one who can save everything he's built." But how could they possibly do that? The answer would come in a way none of them expected. The next morning, Min-jun woke up to find Anita already dressed in a professional black suit, her braids pulled back into a neat bun. "What are you doing?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. "I'm going to your father's company," Anita said, putting on her earrings. "Whether he likes it or not, I'm going to look at those records." "Anita, they won't let you in. My father probably told everyone about us." "About you." Anita turned to look at him, and her eyes were strong and determined. "Then I'll find another way. Min-jun, I didn't fly all the way to Korea just to sit in a hotel room. Your family is dying, both your father and his company. I'm not going to do anything." Min-jun felt a wave of love and fear at the same time. What if they're mean to you? What if they say terrible things? Anita smiled softly. "Baby, I'm a black woman in America. I've heard terrible things my whole life. I can handle it. The question is, can you trust me to do this? Min-jun stood up and hugged her tight. I trust you with my life. Park Industries was in a tall glass building in the business district of Seoul. Anita stood outside for a moment, looking up at it. The sign on the building had the company name in both Korean and English. She took a deep breath and walked inside. The lobby was big and modern, with marble floors and a large desk where two receptionists sat. They looked up when Anita walked in, and their eyes went wide. It was clear they didn't see many black people in this building. Hello, Anita said in perfect Korean, bowing politely. My name is Anita Williams. I'm here to see the chief financial officer about the company's financial situation. One receptionist, a young woman with red lipstick, looked confused. Do you have an appointment? No, but... Then I'm sorry, you cannot go up, the receptionist said, not sounding sorry at all. Anita expected this. She smiled and stayed calm. I understand. Could you please call the CFO and tell him that I have information about how to stop the bankruptcy? Tell him I worked in corporate turnaround consulting in New York. Tell him I flew here specifically to help. The receptionist looked at her like she was crazy. Miss, I don't think. Please, Anita said, her voice firm but polite. Just make the call. If he says no, I'll leave. But at least give him the choice. The receptionist sighed and picked up the phone. She spoke quickly in Korean, probably thinking Anita couldn't understand. There's a foreign woman here. Yes, a black woman. She says she can help with the bankruptcy. I know, it sounds crazy. Okay, I'll tell her. The receptionist hung up and looked surprised. Mr. Kong will see you. 10th floor. But you only have 10 minutes. Anita bowed again. Thank you. As she walked to the elevator, she heard the two receptionists whispering and giggling behind her. She knew they were probably saying mean things, but she kept walking with her head high. On the 10th floor, a secretary led her to an office. Behind the desk sat an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore an expensive suit, but it looked like he hadn't slept in days. Mr. Kong, Anita said, bowing. Thank you for seeing me. Mr. Kong looked at her with suspicion. Miss Williams, I agreed to see you because we are desperate. But I don't understand what you think you can do. We've had the best consultants in Korea look at our problems. May I sit? Anita asked. He nodded. Anita sat down and pulled out her laptop. Last night, I reviewed all your public financial reports from the last 5 years. I also read news articles about your company. Mr. Kong, can I be honest with you? Please. Your company is dying, but not because your products are bad. Park Industries makes excellent kimchi and Korean food products. The problem is that you're stuck in the old way of doing business. You only sell to Korean markets and Korean restaurants around the world. But the world is changing. Korean culture is becoming popular everywhere, K-pop, K-dramas, Korean food. But Park Industries isn't taking advantage of this wave. Mr. Kong leaned forward, interested now. Go on. You need to rebrand. You need to stop being just a Korean food company for Koreans and become a Korean food company for everyone. You need new packaging that appeals to young people all over the world. You need social media marketing. You need to partner with popular restaurants and food influencers. You need to tell the story of your products, the tradition, the health benefits, the culture. Anita opened her laptop and showed him a presentation she had made at 4 a.m. that morning. It had mock-ups of new package designs, marketing strategies, target demographics, and projected sales increases. Mr. Kong stared at the screen, his eyes getting wider and wider. This is brilliant, he whispered. Why didn't our consultants think of this? Because they were looking at numbers and spreadsheets, Anita said. But business isn't just about numbers. It's about people. It's about understanding what people want and giving it to them in a way that makes them excited. Mr. Kong was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Miss Williams, who are you really? Why are you here helping us? Anita took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Mr. Kong, I'm married to Park Min-jun. The color drained from Mr. Kang's face. You're the woman. Yes. I'm the black American woman that Mr. Park disowned his son for marrying. Anita kept her voice steady even though her heart was pounding. And I know that Mr. Park hates me. I know he blames me for his son leaving. But Mr. Kong, I love Min-jun with all my heart. And because I love him, I can't watch his father lose everything without at least trying to help. Even if Mr. Park never forgives me. Even if he never accepts me. I have to try. Mr. Kong stood up and walked to the window. He was quiet for a long time. Anita waited, barely breathing. Finally, he turned around. Miss Williams, I've worked for Mr. Park for 30 years. He's a good man, but he's stubborn and traditional. When Min-jun left, it broke him. He became bitter and angry. He wouldn't listen to new ideas. He refused to change anything about the company because he said it was perfect the way his father built it. Mr. Kang's eyes were wet with tears. I've watched this company die slowly because of his stubbornness. And now he's dying too, and the company will die with him. It doesn't have to, Anita said softly. But he'll never accept help from you. Never. His pride won't allow it. Then we don't tell him, Anita said. Not yet. Mr. Kong looked shocked. What? Let me work with you and your team. Let me implement these changes. We can do it quickly. We have maybe 3 weeks before the bankruptcy becomes final, right? 3 weeks and 2 days, Mr. Kong confirmed. That's enough time. We work fast, we work hard, and we show results. Once we have proof that it's working, once we have new contracts and new money coming in, then we tell Mr. Park. He can't argue with success. Anita leaned forward. Mr. Kong, I know I'm asking you to go behind your boss's back. I know it's risky. But what's the alternative? Let everything collapse? Let Min-jun lose his father and his family legacy. Mr. Kong sat back down. He put his head in his hands. Anita could see him struggling with the decision. If Mr. Park finds out before we have results, he'll fire me, Mr. Kong finally said. And he might get so angry that it kills him. His heart is very weak right now. Then we make sure we get results before he finds out, Anita said. Mr. Kong, please. Give me a chance. Give Park Industries a chance. Mr. Kong looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Okay, but we need to move very, very fast. And no one can tell Mr. Park or his wife. Not even Min-jun can visit the office, people will talk. Agreed, Anita said, relief flooding through her. When can you start? Anita smiled. I already started. Let's call a meeting with your marketing team right now. For the next 2 weeks, Anita worked like she had never worked before. She was at the Park Industries office by 6 a.m. every day and didn't leave until midnight. At first, the employees didn't know what to think of her. They whispered in Korean, thinking she couldn't understand. She heard words like foreigner, black woman, Min-jun's wife, and other words that were less kind. But Anita ignored it all. She focused on the work. She redesigned all the packaging with a young designer named Hannah, who was excited to finally use her creative skills. The new packages were modern and colorful, with English and Korean text, and told the story of each product. She created social media accounts for Park Industries and posted beautiful photos of the food with stories about Korean culture and tradition. Within days, the posts started going viral, especially among young people in America and Europe who loved K-pop and K-dramas. She contacted food influencers and sent them free samples. She reached out to trendy restaurants in New York, Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. She pitched the products not as ethnic food, but as healthy, probiotic-rich, artisanal fermented foods. Words that made young, health-conscious people excited. She worked with Mr. Kong to restructure some of the debt, negotiating with banks for more time and better terms. Slowly, the other employees started to see that Anita knew what she was doing. Hannah became her friend and ally, defending her when other employees said mean things. She's saving our jobs, Hannah said loudly in the break room one day. Maybe you should say thank you instead of gossiping. After that, more employees started warming up to Anita. They started asking her questions, sharing ideas, working with her instead of against her. Min-jun stayed at the hotel, going crazy with worry. He wanted to help, but Anita had made him promise to stay away from the company so no one would tell his father. How is it going? He asked Anita every night when she came back to the hotel exhausted. It's working, Anita would say, then fall asleep almost immediately. Min-jun felt useless. He spent his days visiting his mother when his father was asleep or getting tests. His mother still wouldn't really talk to him, but at least she didn't chase him away anymore. He could see the pain in her eyes every time she looked at him. She missed her son, but she was too loyal to her husband to go against his wishes. One afternoon, Min-jun sat in the hospital cafeteria, drinking bad coffee and feeling miserable. That's when someone sat down across from him. It was Ji-woo, the woman he was supposed to marry. Hello, Min-jun, she said quietly. Min-jun was shocked. Ji-woo, what are you doing here? My father is Mr. Park's doctor, she said. I came to bring him lunch and heard you were here. They sat in awkward silence for a moment. I'm sorry, Min-jun finally said. I'm sorry for embarrassing you and your family. I'm sorry for. Stop, Jiwoo said, holding up her hand. She smiled, and it was a real, genuine smile. Min-jun, can I tell you a secret? Okay. I didn't want to marry you either. Min-jun's mouth fell open. What? Jiwoo laughed. Did you really think I wanted an arranged marriage? I went along with it because, like you, I was following my parents' plan. But I was miserable too. When you broke it off, I was relieved. My parents were angry, but I was free. Really, really. In fact, I'm engaged now. To a man I actually love. He's a teacher, not rich, not from a fancy family. My parents are still not completely happy about it, but they learned something from our situation. They learned that forcing their children into marriages they don't want doesn't work. Jiwoo reached across and squeezed Min-jun's hand. So thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to choose love. It gave me courage to do the same. Min-jun felt tears in his eyes. I'm so happy for you, Jiwoo. I heard about your wife, Jiwoo said. I heard she's at your father's company, trying to save it. Min-jun nodded. She's amazing. She's working so hard, even though my father hates her and disowned me because of her. That's real love, Jiwoo said softly. Min-jun, I hope your father comes to see what I see, that you found something rare and precious. Not everyone gets to marry someone who would sacrifice so much for them. After Jiwoo left, Min-jun sat there for a long time, thinking about her words. He thought about Anita, working 16-hour days to save the company of a man who had said terrible things about her. He thought about how lucky he was. He pulled out his phone and texted Anita. I love you. You are the most incredible person I've ever known. A few minutes later, Anita texted back. I love you too. And I have good news. We got our first big contract today. A chain of 50 restaurants in California wants to carry our products. Mr. Kong is crying happy tears. Only 2 more weeks until the bankruptcy deadline. We're going to make it, baby. We're going to save your father's company. Min-jun read the text over and over, hardly believing it. It was really working. Anita was really doing it. But success often brings new problems. That night, as Anita was leaving the office late, she found someone waiting for her in the parking garage. It was Min-jun's mother, Mrs. Park. Anita's heart jumped into her throat. Mrs. Park. Min-jun's mother looked older than she had in photos Min-jun had shown Anita. Her hair had more gray in it. Her face had deep lines of worry and sadness. She wore a simple hanbok and held her purse in front of her with both hands. You're Anita, Mrs. Park said in Korean. Her voice was cold. Yes, ma'am, Anita replied, also in Korean, bowing respectfully. How dare you, Mrs. Park said, her voice shaking. How dare you come to my husband's company? Haven't you destroyed enough? You took my son. You broke my family apart. And now you come here and. I'm trying to save the company, Anita said gently. I know you don't believe me. I know you hate me. But Mrs. Park, I love your son more than anything. And I know he loves you and his father. I can't bring back the last 3 years. I can't undo the pain. But I can try to save what matters to your husband. I can try to save his life's work. My husband would rather lose the company than accept help from you, Mrs. Park said, tears rolling down her face. You don't understand our culture. You don't understand what you've done. You're right, Anita said, and her own eyes filled with tears. I don't fully understand. I'm an outsider. I'm everything your culture taught you to be afraid of and to reject. But Mrs. Park, please understand this. I didn't steal your son. He chose me. He chose love. And he paid a terrible price for it. He lost everything. But he never once regretted choosing me. Do you know why? Mrs. Park didn't answer, just stared at her with angry, sad eyes. Because I love him the way he deserves to be loved. Completely. Without conditions. Without limits. I love him enough to work myself to death trying to save the company of a man who hates me. Just because I know it will ease my husband's pain. That's love, Mrs. Park. And I know you understand that kind of love, because I see it in how you care for your husband, even when he's difficult. Even when he's stubborn and won't listen to doctors or change his ways. Mrs. Park's face crumpled, and she started crying harder. He's dying. My husband is dying, and the company is dying, and my son won't come home because of you. Min-jun is home, Anita said softly. He's been at the hospital every day when your husband is sleeping. He sits in the cafeteria, hoping to catch a glimpse of you. He's home, Mrs. Park. He just needs you to let him back in. Mrs. Park looked at Anita for a long moment, her face full of pain and confusion and something else. Maybe the tiniest bit of understanding. Then she turned and walked away without another word. Anita stood in the parking garage, shaking, tears running down her face. That was Min-jun's mother, the woman who gave birth to the man she loved. And that woman hated her. Anita got in her car and cried for 20 minutes before she could drive. When she got back to the hotel, Min-jun took one look at her face and knew something had happened. "What's wrong? What happened?" Anita told him about meeting his mother. Min-jun held her while she cried. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry she said those things to you." "She's not wrong, though," Anita sobbed. "I did take you from her. I did break your family apart." "No," Min-jun said firmly, lifting her face to look at him. "Anita Williams Park, you listened to me. You didn't take me. You freed me. You gave me the courage to live my own life. Yes, it broke my family apart. Yes, it caused pain. But that's not your fault. That's their choice, to value tradition over love, to value their pride over their son. You didn't break anything. You just showed me that there was another way to live. I just wish they could see." Anita whispered. "Maybe they will," Min-jun said. "When they see what you're doing for the company. When they see the results. Maybe then they'll understand." But they both wondered, would results be enough? Would success be enough to change hearts that had been hardened by tradition, pride, and fear? They would find out very soon. Because in 3 days, something would happen that would force everyone's hand. Something that would either bring the family together or tear them apart forever. And it would all happen in the most unexpected way. 3 days later, Anita sat in the Park Industries conference room with Mr. Kong and the entire management team. On the table in front of them were stacks of papers, new contracts, purchase orders, and partnership agreements. "This is incredible," said Mrs. Choi, the head of sales. She was an older woman who had been cold to Anita at first but now looked at her with respect. "In 2 weeks, we've secured contracts worth more than we made in the last 6 months. The social media campaign is exploding," added Hannah, pulling up the numbers on her laptop. "We have 200,000 new followers across all platforms. The hashtag Taste Korea Tradition is trending in 5 countries. Food bloggers are calling our kimchi the best-kept secret in fermented foods." Mr. Kong stood up, his eyes shining with tears. "Miss Williams, Anita, you've done what I thought was impossible. We have enough new revenue to pay off the most urgent debts and negotiate with the other creditors. We can stop the bankruptcy." The room erupted in applause. Several employees were crying. Even the ones who had whispered mean things about Anita in the beginning were clapping and smiling. Anita felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had done it. She had actually done it. "But," Mr. Kong said, holding up his hand for silence, "we have a problem. Today, Mr. Park is being released from the hospital. The doctors say he's stable enough to go home. Which means he'll want to come to the office tomorrow to see the company's final reports before the bankruptcy proceedings." The room went silent. Everyone knew what this meant. "He's going to find out everything," whispered Hannah. "He's going to see all the changes we made. He's going to know Anita was here." "What do we do?" asked another manager. "If he gets too angry, his heart—" Anita stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "We tell him the truth. Tonight. Before he comes to the office and discovers it on his own." "Are you crazy?" Mrs. Choi said. "The shock could kill him. The shock of discovering it himself would be worse," Anita said. "At least if we tell him, we can control how he hears it. We can show him the results first. We can prove that what we did worked." Mr. Kong rubbed his face with his hands. "She's right. But who will tell him? I've been Mr. Park's right hand for 30 years. When he finds out I went behind his back, he might never forgive me." "I'll tell him," Anita said quietly. Everyone turned to stare at her. "No," Mr. Kong said immediately. "Absolutely not. You're the last person he wants to see." "Exactly," Anita said. "Which is why it has to be me. If you tell him, Mr. Kong, he'll see it as betrayal from someone he trusts. But if I tell him, he already expects the worst from me. He already hates me. I have nothing to lose." "Except your life," Hannah said, her voice worried. "Min-jun told me his father said some pretty violent things when he found out about you too." Anita thought about Min-jun. She thought about his sad eyes every time he talked about his family. She thought about the 3 years of pain, of being torn between the family he was born into and the family he chose to create with her. "I'm doing this," Anita said with finality. "Mr. Kong, can you arrange for me to meet with Mr. Park tonight at his home? Tell him it's about the company's future. Tell him there's something urgent he needs to know before the bankruptcy hearing. Anita, please think about this, Mr. Kong begged. Let me go with you at least. Anita shook her head. No, this is between him and me. It always has been. That evening, Anita stood outside the Park family home in Gangnam, one of the richest neighborhoods in Seoul. The house was beautiful, traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern design, surrounded by a garden with carefully trimmed trees and a small pond. Anita's heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. She had changed into her most conservative outfit, a long navy blue dress with a high neck and long sleeves. Her braids were pulled back in a simple bun. She wanted to look as respectful as possible. She rang the doorbell. Mrs. Park opened the door. When she saw Anita, her face went pale. What are you doing here? Mrs. Park, please. Mr. Kong arranged this meeting. Your husband is expecting someone from the company to discuss urgent business. That someone is me. No. Mrs. Park tried to close the door. You cannot come into this house. I won't allow it. What's going on? A weak voice called from inside. Who is at the door? It was Mr. Park's voice. Anita and Mrs. Park locked eyes. In that moment, something passed between them. Two women who both loved the same man in different ways, both trying to protect him. Please, Anita whispered. Let me try to fix this. For Min-jun. For your family. Mrs. Park's eyes filled with tears. Then slowly she stepped aside. Anita walked into the house. It smelled like incense and tea. The floors were polished wood. On the walls were family photos, including many of Min-jun as a baby, as a boy, as a young man. Anita's heart ached seeing them. Mrs. Park led her to a room where Mr. Park sat in a chair by the window. He wore a traditional hanbok and looked thin and tired. His skin was gray. There were dark circles under his eyes. But when he saw Anita walk in, those eyes filled with fire. You, he shouted, trying to stand up. What is this? What is the meaning of bringing this woman into my home? Mr. Park, please don't excite yourself, Mrs. Park said, rushing to his side. Your heart. I don't care about my heart. Mr. Park's face was turning red. Get her out. Get her out of my house now. Anita bowed deeply, a full 90-degree bow, the kind that shows the most respect in Korean culture. She stayed bent over as she spoke. Mr. Park, I am Anita Williams Park. I am married to your son, Min-jun. I know you hate me. I know you blame me for taking him away from you. And I know you have every right to order me out of your house. But before you do, I beg you to give me just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to tell you something about your company. After that, if you want me to leave, I will leave and never bother you again. I don't want to hear anything from you, Mr. Park spat. You destroyed my family. You turned my son against me. Your company is not going bankrupt, Anita said, still bowing. Mr. Park stopped mid-sentence. What? Your company is not going bankrupt. In the last 2 weeks, Park Industries has secured new contracts worth 2.8 billion won. We have restructured your debt. We have paid off your most urgent creditors. We have created a new marketing strategy that has gone viral internationally. Your company is not only going to survive, it's going to thrive. Slowly, Anita straightened up to look at him. Mr. Park was staring at her with his mouth open. Mrs. Park had her hand over her heart. You're lying, Mr. Park finally said, but his voice was uncertain. I'm not lying. Anita pulled a folder from her bag. Here are the contracts. Here are the financial reports. Here is proof that everything I'm saying is true. She held out the folder. Mr. Park didn't take it. He just stared at it like it might be a snake. Mrs. Park took it instead. She opened it and started reading. Her eyes got wider and wider. This is real? Are these contracts real? Yes, ma'am, Anita said softly. But how? Mr. Park whispered. His anger was gone now, replaced by confusion and shock. The company was dying. We had nothing left. How is this possible? Anita took a deep breath. For the last 2 weeks, I've been working at Park Industries. Mr. Kong let me in. We redesigned everything, the packaging, the marketing, the target audience. We used social media. We reached out to international markets. We told the story of your products in a way that made people excited to buy them. And it worked, Mr. Park. It worked beyond our wildest dreams. You, Mr. Park said, his voice barely audible. You did this? You, the woman who. He couldn't finish his sentence. He just stood there, shaking. Why? He finally asked. Why would you help me? After everything I said about you? After I disowned my son for marrying you? After I called you terrible names and tried to force Min-jun to divorce you? Why would you save my company? Anita felt tears rolling down her face, but she didn't wipe them away. Because Min-jun loves you. Because even after 3 years of being apart from you, even after all the pain, he still cries at night thinking about his family. Because when he heard you were sick and the company was failing, it broke his heart. And I love Min-jun so much that I cannot stand to see him in pain. So yes, you hate me. Yes, you think I'm not good enough for your son. But I'm good enough to save what you built. I'm good enough to work 16-hour days to protect your legacy. And I'm good enough to stand here and tell you the truth, even though I'm terrified. The room was completely silent except for the sound of someone crying. It was Mrs. Park. She was reading the contracts and crying, tears falling onto the papers. Our company, she whispered. It's really saved. Yes, Anita said. It's really saved. Mr. Park suddenly sat down hard in his chair, like his legs couldn't hold him anymore. He put his face in his hands. His shoulders started shaking. At first, Anita thought he was angry. Then she realized he was crying. This proud, traditional, stubborn man who had disowned his only son was crying. I was ready to die, he said through his sobs. I was ready to die and let my family's legacy die with me. I failed my father. I failed my son. I failed everyone. Mrs. Park knelt beside him, holding him. She was crying too. Anita didn't know what to do. Should she leave? Should she stay? She just stood there, her own tears falling. I was wrong, Mr. Park said suddenly, looking up at Anita with red, swollen eyes. I was wrong about you. Anita's breath caught in her throat. I thought you were taking my son away from his culture, from his heritage, from everything I taught him. I thought you were the enemy. But you saved everything I built. You worked to save it even when I hated you. Even when I said terrible things. You did it because you love my son. Mr. Park's voice broke. That's real love. That's the kind of love I always wanted from Min-jun. And I was too blind, too proud, too stupid to see it. Mr. Park, Anita whispered. Where is he? Mr. Park asked suddenly. Where is my son? Where is Min-jun? He's at the hotel, Anita said. He's been at the hospital every day, hoping to see you. But he didn't want to upset you, so he came when you were sleeping or having tests. He never left, Mr. Park. He came back to Korea for you. Mr. Park looked at his wife. Mrs. Park nodded through her tears. Bring him here, Mr. Park said. Please, bring my son home. Anita pulled out her phone with shaking hands and called Min-jun. He answered on the first ring. Anita, are you okay? What happened? Min-jun, Anita said, her voice thick with tears. Come home. Your father wants to see you. There was silence on the other end. Then, what? Anita, what are you saying? Come home, baby. Come home right now. 20 minutes later, Min-jun burst through the front door. He had run from the taxi, not even closing the car door properly. His hair was messy. His shirt was untucked. He looked wild and desperate and hopeful all at once. Father, he called out. Mother? In here, Mrs. Park called. Min-jun ran into the room and stopped dead when he saw everyone. His father was sitting in the chair. His mother was kneeling beside him. Anita standing by the window. Father, Min-jun said, and his voice broke on the word. Father, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for... Stop, Mr. Park said, holding up his hand. Then he did something he hadn't done in 3 years. He smiled at his son. Come here, Min-jun. Min-jun walked forward slowly, like he couldn't believe this was real. When he got close enough, Mr. Park reached out and grabbed his hand. I'm the one who should apologize, Mr. Park said. I was a foolish old man. I let my pride and my traditions become more important than my son. I pushed you away when I should have held you close. Can you forgive me? Min-jun fell to his knees and sobbed. Father, there's nothing to forgive. I love you. I never stopped loving you. Mr. Park pulled his son into his arms. Mrs. Park wrapped her arms around both of them. All 3 of them cried together, releasing 3 years of pain and sadness and longing. Anita watched from the window, her heart so full she thought it might burst. This was what Min-jun needed. This was what she had worked so hard for. After a long moment, Mr. Park looked up at Anita. Come here, he said. Anita walked over slowly. Kneel down, Mr. Park said. Anita knelt beside Min-jun. She didn't know what was going to happen. Was he going to yell at her again? Tell her to leave? Instead, Mr. Park took her hand and Min-jun's hand and placed them together. My son chose well, Mr. Park said, his voice still weak from crying. He chose a woman who is strong, smart, brave, and loyal. A woman who loves him enough to sacrifice her pride and her comfort to save his family. Anita Williams Park, I was wrong about you. I judged you by your skin color and your nationality instead of by your character. And I am ashamed. Mr. Park, Anita started to say. Please, Mr. Park said, squeezing her hand. Let me finish. I cannot undo the last 3 years. I cannot take back the terrible things I said. But I can do this. I can tell you that you are welcome in this family. You are welcome in this house. You are my daughter now. And I am proud that my son married you. Anita couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. She could only cry and nod. Mrs. Park reached over and hugged Anita. Welcome home, daughter, she whispered. Welcome home. Min-jun looked at Anita with a face full of joy and disbelief. They had done it. After 3 years of pain, after being disowned, after losing everything, they had finally found their way back home. But the night wasn't over yet. Mr. Park suddenly stood up, stronger than he had looked since his heart attack. We must go to the company. Tomorrow. All of us. I need to thank everyone who worked to save Park Industries. And I need to see these changes that Anita made. Father, you're not strong enough yet, Min-jun protested. I'm strong enough for this, Mr. Park said firmly. Anita saved my company. The least I can do is thank my employees properly. And I need to make an announcement. What announcement? Mrs. Park asked. Mr. Park looked at Min-jun, then at Anita, then smiled, a real, genuine smile. I'm making Anita the new Chief Marketing Officer of Park Industries. And when I retire, Min-jun will become CEO. This is a family company. And now we are a family again. Anita gasped. Mr. Park, I can't. I don't. You saved a dying company in 2 weeks, Mr. Park said. Imagine what you could do with real time and resources. Will you accept? Anita looked at Min-jun. He was grinning through his tears. Yes, Anita said. Yes, I'll accept. That night, for the first time in 3 years, Min-jun and Anita slept at the Park family home. Mrs. Park made up Min-jun's old room for them. She brought them tea and snacks and couldn't stop hugging them both. As they lay in bed, Min-jun held Anita close. You did it, he whispered. You brought my family back together. We did it, Anita corrected. Your love for them, my work, we did it together. I can't believe it's real, Min-jun said. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up, and it will all be a dream. It's real, Anita said, kissing him. We're really home. But even as they fell asleep in each other's arms, neither of them knew that tomorrow would bring one final challenge. One final test that would prove whether Mr. Park's change of heart was real or just temporary emotion. Because tomorrow, the entire company will find out the truth. And not everyone would be happy about it. Tomorrow, Anita will face her biggest challenge yet. And this time, Min-jun won't be able to protect her. The next morning, Min-jun woke up to the smell of his mother's cooking, something he hadn't experienced in 3 years. He lay in bed for a moment, wondering if it was all a dream. But then he felt Anita's warmth beside him, saw his old childhood posters on the walls, and heard his mother humming in the kitchen. It was real. He was really home. Good morning, Anita whispered, opening her eyes. Did last night really happen? It really happened, Min-jun said, kissing her forehead. We're home, Anita. We're finally home. They got dressed and went downstairs. The breakfast table was covered with food, kimchi, rice, soup, grilled fish, vegetables, and side dishes. Mrs. Park had made enough food for 10 people. Sit, she said, practically glowing with happiness. Eat. You're both too skinny. Mr. Park came in, moving slowly but looking better than he had in weeks. He sat at the head of the table and smiled when he saw Min-jun and Anita. Good morning, father, Min-jun said, bowing. Good morning, son. Good morning, Anita. Mr. Park gestured to the food. Let's eat as a family. They ate together, talking and laughing. Mrs. Park kept putting more food on Anita's plate, insisting she needed to eat more. Mr. Park told stories about when Min-jun was a little boy. It was perfect. It was everything Min-jun had dreamed about for 3 years. After breakfast, they all drove to Park Industries together. Mr. Kong had called an emergency company-wide meeting for 10 a.m. All 200 employees would be there. As they walked into the building, the receptionist who had been rude to Anita 2 weeks ago gasped when she saw Anita walking in with Mr. Park and his family. Good morning, Anita said sweetly in Korean, smiling at the shocked woman. The receptionist just bowed very low, her face red with embarrassment. They took the elevator to the top floor where the large conference room was. Through the glass walls, Anita could see it was already packed with employees. Everyone was whispering and looking nervous. They had heard Mr. Park was coming, but they didn't know why. Mr. Kong met them outside the conference room. He bowed deeply to Mr. Park. "Sir, I'm so glad to see you're feeling better. But sir, before we go in, I need to apologize. I went behind your back. I let Anita work here without your permission. If you want to fire me, I understand." Mr. Park put his hand on Mr. Kang's shoulder. "Fire you? My friend, you saved this company when I was too stubborn to save it myself. I should be thanking you, not firing you." Mr. Kang's eyes filled with tears. "Sir, come," Mr. Park said. "Let's go tell everyone the good news." They walked into the conference room together. Every single person stopped talking and stared. They stared at Mr. Park, who they hadn't seen in weeks. They stared at Min-jun, who everyone knew had been disowned. And they stared at Anita, the black woman who had worked among them for 2 weeks. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Park said, his voice still weak but strong enough to carry through the room. "Please sit down. I have important news to share." Everyone sat down. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. 2 weeks ago, Mr. Park began, I was in the hospital dying. My heart was failing. And this company, the company my father built, the company I have poured my life into, was also dying. We were days away from bankruptcy. I had lost hope. I was ready to let it all end. People in the room shifted uncomfortably. Some wiped away tears. But something happened that I did not expect, Mr. Park continued. Someone came and saved this company. Someone worked day and night for 2 weeks, redesigning our products, creating new marketing campaigns, and securing contracts worth billions of won. Someone did what all our expensive consultants could not do. Someone saved Park Industries. Mr. Park paused and looked around the room. That someone is Anita Williams Park. A gasp went through the crowd. Everyone started whispering at once. Mr. Park held up his hand in silence. Yes, Anita is a foreigner. Yes, she is black. Yes, she is married to my son, who I disowned 3 years ago. His voice got stronger. And yes, I was completely wrong about her. The room went silent again. I judged Anita by her skin color and where she came from instead of by her character and her skills, Mr. Park said, and his voice was full of emotion. I said terrible things about her. I disowned my own son for loving her. I was a foolish, prideful old man who cared more about tradition than about what was right. And because of that, I almost lost everything, my son, my company, my life. Mr. Park walked over to where Anita stood with Min-jun. He took her hand. This woman, who I treated horribly, who I hated without even knowing her, saved my company. She did it not for money or recognition. She did it because she loves my son, and she knew saving the company would ease his pain. That is the kind of person Anita is. That is the kind of character she has. Tears were rolling down Anita's face. Min-jun squeezed her other hand. From today, Mr. Park announced, Anita Williams Park is the new Chief Marketing Officer of Park Industries. She will lead our marketing and international expansion. And anyone who has a problem with that can leave this company right now. The room was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, from the back of the room, someone started clapping. It was Hannah, the young designer who had become Anita's friend. She stood up and clapped loudly. Then Mrs. Choi from sales stood up and started clapping too. Then Mr. Kong. Then another person and another and another. Within seconds, the entire room was standing and applauding. Some people were crying. Some were smiling. But everyone was clapping. Anita couldn't stop crying. Min-jun put his arm around her and held her close. But then, just as the applause was dying down, a man in the back stood up. He was middle-aged, wearing an expensive suit. His name was Mr. Han, and he was the head of the traditional sales department. Mr. Park, he said loudly, I respect you very much, but I cannot accept this. I cannot work under a black woman. It goes against everything I believe in. This company should be run by Koreans for Koreans. Bringing in foreigners, especially black foreigners, will destroy our traditional values and our reputation. Several other older employees nodded in agreement. The room got tense. Anita felt her heart sink. She had known this might happen. Not everyone would accept her. Mr. Park's face got hard. Mr. Han, you have worked here for 15 years. But if that is how you feel, then you are no longer welcome in this company. Sir, Mr. Han started to say. No, Mr. Park said firmly. This company was dying because we held on to traditional values while the world changed around us. Anita saved us precisely because she brought new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of thinking. If you cannot see that, if you cannot put aside your prejudice and work with talented people regardless of their skin color, then you have no place here. Please pack your desk and leave. Mr. Han's face turned red with anger and embarrassment. He looked around the room, hoping others would support him. But no one stood up. No one spoke in his favor. Fine, Mr. Han said coldly. I will not work for a company that has forgotten its roots. He turned and walked out of the room. 2 other older employees stood up and followed him. After they left, the room was silent again. Anita felt terrible. She didn't want people to lose their jobs because of her. But then a young woman in the front row raised her hand. Mr. Park, may I say something? Of course, Miss Lee. The young woman stood up and looked at Anita. I was one of the people who whispered mean things about you when you first came here. I'm ashamed of that now. In just 2 weeks, you taught me more about marketing than I learned in 4 years of college. You worked harder than anyone I've ever seen. You treated everyone with respect, even when they didn't respect you. You saved all of our jobs. So thank you, Anita. Thank you for not giving up on us, even when we didn't deserve your help. Another young employee stood up. I agree. The people who left are stuck in the past. But those of us who want this company to have a future, we're grateful you're here, Anita. More people started standing up and agreeing. The younger employees especially were excited and supportive. They had seen Anita work. They had learned from her. They knew what she was capable of. Mr. Park smiled. You see, Anita? The future of this company is standing right here, supporting you. The past can walk out the door. Anita wiped her tears and smiled. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I promise I will work hard to make this company successful. And I will do everything I can to honor its traditions while also helping it grow. The room applauded again. After the meeting ended, employees came up to Anita one by one to congratulate her and welcome her officially. Even the rude receptionist from the lobby came up and apologized with tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, she said, bowing over and over. I judged you before I knew you. Please forgive me. It's okay, Anita said, hugging her. We all make mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them. That evening, the Park family had a big dinner at a restaurant to celebrate. They invited Mr. Kong, Hannah, Mrs. Choi, and several other employees who had supported Anita. As they ate and drank and laughed, Anita looked around the table and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Just 3 years ago, she was a lonely girl in New York who loved K-dramas. Now she was sitting with her husband's family, accepted and loved, about to start an exciting new job. Speech. Speech. Everyone started chanting, looking at Anita. Anita stood up, her glass of wine in her hand. I don't really know what to say. 3 years ago, I fell in love with an amazing man. But loving him meant losing him for a while. It meant watching him hurt because he was torn between his birth family and the family we were creating together. There were so many nights when I wondered if we made the right choice. If love was enough. She looked at Min-jun, who was gazing at her with so much love in his eyes. But now I know love is always enough. Love is what brought Min-jun back to Korea to check on his father. Love is what made me work 16-hour days to save a company owned by a man who hated me. Love is what opened Mr. Park's heart to see past his prejudice. Love is what brought this family back together. Anita raised her glass. So here's to love. To the love that crosses borders and breaks down walls. To the love that is patient and kind and never gives up. To the love that saves us all. To love. Everyone cheered, raising their glasses. After dinner, as they were walking to their cars, Mr. Park pulled Anita aside. Anita, he said quietly, I want you to know something. When I said those terrible things about you 3 years ago, when I judged you without knowing you, I became a smaller person. I let fear and tradition make me cruel. But you responded to my cruelty with grace. You responded to my hate with love. You showed me what real strength looks like. Mr. Park, please call me father, he said, smiling. You're my daughter now. Anita's eyes filled with tears again. Father, thank you. Thank you for giving me and Min-jun a chance. Thank you for opening your heart. No, thank you, Mr. Park said, hugging her. Thank you for saving my son from a life he didn't want. Thank you for saving my company. And thank you for teaching this old man that family isn't about blood or tradition or skin color. It's about love. It's always been about love. 6 months later, Park Industries was thriving. The new marketing strategy had made the company internationally famous. They were selling products in 30 countries. Young people all over the world were posting pictures of Park Industries kimchi on social media, calling it the coolest Korean food brand. Anita was featured in Korean business magazines as one of the top 30 under 30 business leaders. Min-jun was working as vice president, learning the business from his father, so he could take over one day. But the best part wasn't the business success. The best part was Sunday dinners at the Park family home, where Mrs. Park would cook too much food and everyone would laugh and talk for hours. The best part was watching Mr. Park teach Anita how to make traditional kimchi, passing down recipes that had been in his family for generations. The best part was seeing Mrs. Park and Anita become close friends, shopping together and sharing stories. The best part was being a family again. One Sunday evening, as everyone sat around after dinner drinking tea, Mrs. Park suddenly clapped her hands together. "Oh, I almost forgot." She rushed to another room and came back with a large photo album. "What's that, Mother?" Min-jun asked. "Baby pictures," Mrs. Park said excitedly, sitting next to Anita. "I want to show Anita all of Min-jun's baby pictures. Look, here he is when he was born. And here he is taking his first steps. Oh, and this one is when he—" "Mother, please," Min-jun said, his face turning red with embarrassment. But Anita was laughing and looking at every picture with joy. "He was so cute. Look at those chubby cheeks." Mr. Park chuckled. "He cried all the time. So loud. We thought something was wrong with him, but the doctor said he was just dramatic." Everyone laughed. As Anita looked through the album, seeing the life Min-jun had lived before she met him, she felt a deep sense of peace. This was where he came from. These were the people who loved him first. And now, she was part of that love too. "Anita," Mrs. Park said softly, putting her hand on Anita's arm. "I have something to tell you." "What is it, Mother?" Mrs. Park's eyes were shining with tears, but happy tears. "I'm sorry it took me so long to see what my son saw in you from the beginning. I'm sorry I wasted 3 years being angry instead of getting to know the wonderful woman who makes my son so happy. But I want you to know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you loved my son enough to fight for him. I'm grateful that you saved our family. And I'm grateful that I get to call you my daughter." Anita hugged Mrs. Park tightly. "I love you, Mother. Thank you for giving me a chance." That night, as Min-jun and Anita drove back to their new apartment, they had bought a place near his parents. Min-jun reached over and took Anita's hand. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "I'm thinking about how far we've come," Anita said. 3 years ago, we were so scared. We didn't know if choosing love was the right thing. We didn't know if we would survive losing your family. And now I know that choosing love is always right. It might be hard. It might hurt. You might lose things along the way. But in the end, real love always finds a way. It always wins. Min-jun pulled over the car and kissed her deeply. "I love you, Anita Williams Park. Thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for never giving up on us." "I could never give up on us," Anita whispered. "We're forever, remember?" "Forever," Min-jun agreed. As they drove home under the Seoul city lights, both of them knew that their story was far from over. There would be more challenges ahead, more cultural differences to navigate, more prejudices to face from people who didn't understand. But they also knew something more important. They had love, they had family, and they had each other. And that was enough to face anything. Min-jun's Korean family had disowned him for loving her. They had said terrible things. They had caused 3 years of pain and separation. But in the end, the black woman he married didn't just save them from bankruptcy. She saved them from becoming people who valued tradition more than love. She saved them from becoming so closed-minded that they missed out on knowing a wonderful person. She saved them from losing their son forever. She saved them from themselves. And in doing so, she proved that love, real, unconditional, courageous love, is the most powerful force in the world. It can cross oceans. It can bridge cultures. It can change hearts. It can heal wounds. It can save families. It can save everything. The end. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Your support means everything to us and helps us create more amazing stories like this one. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message about love, family, and second chances. What did you think of Anita and Min-jun's journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next story.